Welcome back to Life in the 1800s newspapers. Today we're starting a new newspaper. It's the York Weekly from York, Pennsylvania. So, before you head off to work, why don't you pick up the paper and see what the news is today? Today's issue is May 15th, 1891. There was always reported a lot of accidents in the 1800s involving horses, buggies, trains, etc. Here's one to start with. A frightful runaway in York Township. A thrilling runaway occurred Sunday morning in York Township, which fortunately resulted more favorably than at first appeared possible. Mr. Urus Hildebrand, accompanied by Miss Ida Leader, daughter of Joseph Leader of York Township, were driving along the Chanceford Pike, and all went along pleasantly until the vicinity of Spry. The horse suddenly took fright at some object along the road, and making a sudden turn, threw Mr. Hildebrand out. The animal then ran rapidly along the pike, with Miss Leader in the buggy, unable to control him, the lines dragging on the ground beyond her reach. Along the pike, the buggy struck several objects, and it was with difficulty the lady could keep her seat. Suddenly, the horse made a turn to the side and darted toward the fence, and making a spring, cleared the fence, the buggy striking the fence, and was held fast there. Just as the horse leaped, Miss Leader, who, through all the excitement, had maintained her presence of mind, seeing her great danger, leapt from the rear of the buggy and safely landed on her feet, uninjured. The horse, tearing away from the buggy and leaving it on the fence, continued to run until he reached home. Mr. Hildebrand, when thrown out, fell on some broken stones and was badly stunned and severely bruised. He was unconscious when picked up and removed to a store nearby, where restoratives were applied and consciousness was soon restored. His chest and back were severely bruised, but his injuries are not considered serious. He was greatly relieved when he learned that his companion was unhurt. It was a narrow escape from a more serious consequences. Impersonating an officer. Magistrate. What's the charge in this case? Plaintiff's lawyer. Impersonating an officer, Your Honor. What did the prisoner do? He is in the habit of stealing a handful of peanuts every time he passes my client's stand, Your Honor. Colored editors sue a hotel keeper. James H. Howard of the Negro American Magazine and Robert G. Still, editor of the State Journal of Philadelphia, have made information against Louis Russ, proprietor of the Grand Hotel in Harrisburg, for refusing to accommodate them with food in his public dining room. Mr. Russ says he offered to serve the plaintiffs in the dining room he uses with himself and his wife, and that they refused to eat there. Grand Hotel, 312 to 314th Market Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We do everything to please our patrons. The best food is procured, and after passing through the hands of skillful cooks, is served by courteous and attentive waiters in a well-appointed dining room. Our bill of fare is large and varied. Drink a Mamie Taylor. Cause of the grip. The grip, by the way, was a cold. Causes which lead to the deathly grip: sat in a draft, chilled in a cold streetcar, rode on the grip, stood outdoors a few minutes without an overcoat, took a ride in an open buggy, walked against the wind and stood and talked to an acquaintance, put on lighter garments, got wet feet, went to a funeral, and stood at the grave with head uncovered. The honest boy. Sunday school teacher. Johnny, did you ever tell a lie? Johnny, promptly, yes, sir. Sunday school teacher. Thanks. I thought I was going to catch you in another one. Luck changing. Figs. That man Brobson has an awful luck. First he lost all his money, and now his wife has got a divorce. Diggs. What does he say about the divorce? Figs. He says his luck seems to be improving. Why do we laugh? Do you think these 1800s jokes are still funny today? Or do you even get them? Let me know in the comments below. He wasn't. I suppose, said she, glancing at the clock, that like other boys, you fought many battles at school, and that when you were once in a fight, you stayed in it till you won. No, he said candidly, I used to get out of fights as quickly as possible. Well now, she observed, with another glance at the clock, I should think you would have been a stayer. No, I wasn't. And to show that he wasn't a stayer, he took his hat and went. A false alarm. A telegraph boy with a message in his hand entered a Grand River Avenue car the other day for a half-mile ride, and after closely regarding him for a moment, an old lady leaned forward and inquired, Be you a telegraph boy? Yes'm. Got a telegraph there? Yes'm. Is it for me? No'm. Thank heaven, she sighed as she leaned back. That proves that my daughter's house out in Ohio has not burned up, but I was awfully scared for a minute. Sermonette on the devil. Woman never swears, but when a man steps on the hem of her dress and ruins a couple of yards of expensive trimming, the thoughts which pass through her mind afford the devil as much amusement as though she had let out a string of oaths 1.5 miles long. Perils of the street. What is the matter? Asked Mrs. Monday, poking her head out of her flat window and addressing the policeman. Matter enough, said he. A piece of your angel cake fell on a man's head, and we're waiting for the ambulance. inclined toward indulgence. "I have such an indulgent husband," said little Mrs. Doll. "Yes, so George said," responded Mrs. Spiteful. "Sometimes indulges too much, doesn't he?" Amateur gardening. Bring out the rusty garden rake, hunt up the hoe and spade, for spring is here, and it is time to have the garden made. Your wife will lean upon the fence and watch you while you work. She always prompt to give advice, she'll never let you shirk. Don't waste your time in trying to tell the bulbs from worthless weeds. Dig them all up, that's easiest, and you'll need the room for seeds. Work hard, man, you won't break your back, though you may fear you may. Don't stop to lean upon your spade, think what your wife will say. Then, when you've got the garden dug, the seeds all out of sight, you better hire a gardener to come and set it right. Fred Gebhard astonished a few friends some days ago by saying, "If there's one thing I hate to see a girl do is to throw kisses." "Come, Gebhard, we don't believe that," said a listener, "unless you can give us a pretty good reason." "It's because the average girl is such a miserable poor shot," sadly remarked the handsome beau. I thank you very much for watching. Hey, and remember, when you read the newspaper, or maybe a good book, watch where you're going, unlike this person in this old movie clip to end with.